Okay, for this project, we're going to be drawing gnomes. Now, a gnome is a mythological creature and spirit in Renaissance magic, first introduced by Paracelsus in the 16th century and later adopted by more recent authors. Now, some information that I was able to find out about gnomes was they move through the solid earth. First mentioned 1493 to 1541. They originated in Europe. Similar creatures is a dwarf and a goblin. Generally, they're vegetarians. At night, the gnome will tend to the garden. Gnomes are known as symbols of good luck. And a group of gnomes is called a Dancy. And that's not a gnome, it's just my annoying cat right now. All right, so as you can see, gnomes have become very popular. They're not just around the holidays, but you'll notice them. I've noticed them around Halloween, that time of year. I've noticed them during the summer. So it's become a very popular little creature. So as you can see, this one, they're basically all beards. You could do your beard in any way you'd like to draw them. I'm not going to draw the same exact gnomes like you see in this example, but I want you to get an idea of their shape and that their hair can be showing texture, and really you could just have just the body shape and the little feet. In this one, you just notice the nose. And in a lot of gnomes, that's what you'll just notice. But in this little gnome, you'll notice two little eyes just above the nose and a small mouth. So I'm just going to put this to the side. And they tend to live in mushrooms. So we've got a little mushroom house right here. Okay, so you're going to have a small piece of white paper, not too big, and all you'll need is a pencil and eraser, Sharpie, black marker. I usually like to use the thick and thin one, just for variety of line, and any color markers that you would like to use to color in your gnomes. So I'm going to draw two gnomes on this example, but you'll also see this one, so you can choose which one you'd like to work from. And I'm going to make some space so I can fit two gnomes in my sample. So really all I'm going to start off with is an oval for the nose. And right across the top of the nose, I'm going to make a curved line that extends out. And where it stops will be for the side of the hat. Now you can make like a ski cap hat. You can make a shorter version of that. You can have it curved over. There are just so many different ideas that you can use for your gnome. On this particular one, I'm just going to do kind of a textured pom-pom on the end of the hat. And as you can see, basically the gnomes are very simple shapes. This one will have a mustache connecting to my nose, and then around it you could add a beard. Now this beard is slightly different from the beards that I drew in this sample. So this gives you some variety of ideas. And for you, some gnomes can have longer legs. I'm just going to draw a curved line going away from the body. And then I want to stop because I'm going to add one more gnome right next to it. And this one, I'm going to start with my oval for the nose. And then again, I'm just going to extend a line that touches the nose and goes further out. And then wherever that stops is where you can kind of do your hat. You could make it kind of pointy. You could just kind of add some curves to it. And then you can decorate it once you're done with this simple drawing. Now in this particular one, I'm going to do a girl. So I'm just going to add a couple curved lines kind of extending down for braids. And you can make it as long as you like. And sorry. And I'm going to just make a couple curved lines as I take it further down, and you want them to end up the same length, and then you can just do the strands coming down. So you could add a couple of curves inside the outside curves just to show a little bit more texture. You do not have to do a girl gnome if you don't want to. You could do 2 boy gnomes. It's really a judgment call. So I'm going to take a curve out for the body and take that further down. I'm just going to do a simple curve at the bottom. Now on one of them, the other gnome that I started, I'll add arms just to show you some variety. So the arms will just be not that much further away from the side of the body. So on this particular one, you do not see the other hand, but on this one, you'll just take a curve under and just do a small partial circle at the bottom for the hand. And then you're going to make your curve going across the bottom and then just extend that up. So this is overlapping the other gnome that I've just done. And then you could just do the curve going out at an angle and then curving back up for the feet. So it's pretty simple. And they're really fun. They're very magical creatures. Now you can do any kind of pattern that you like. On this particular hat, I'm just going to do some almost like a candy cane design where it's just kind of wrapping at a diagonal going all the way up to the top. And you could do any color for your gnome that you'd like. And on this one, I think I'll just leave it empty and maybe I'll just do a tassel at the end. So you can leave it empty or you can add a tassel. Now I'm going to add a little mushroom house just to give you an idea how to draw it. And you're just going to make kind of an upside down U shape, and then you can make like a wavy bottom to that. And throughout you could add small circles. On this particular example, I added larger circles. So it's really just a preference. I recommend you do it in pencil first, and then you can trace it in your marker when you're done. And then for the base of my mushroom, I'm just going to do the bottom half, which kind of looks like the shape of a jar. And then you can add the door. So you can add like a nice archway. And if you wanted to just add the slats, not through that window, but you could add some lines going through that. And then just if you have the room for more than one window, you can add more than one. You could even add curtains inside the window. There's so many wonderful ideas that you can come up with. And when you're done with your simple drawing, simply just erase any of your pencil lines. And then you'll be ready to start your coloring. You can do this in crayon. You could do this in marker. Marker tends to be brighter and stands out more. And you can, again, color in and add whatever designs you want on the costume. I would recommend something simple for the costume and then for the hat. So once you've erased and cleaned up your lines, then you can start coloring in your drawing. Okay, and then you can start choosing the colors you'd like to do. So I think on the female, I will add brown feet. And on the male, I will add black feet. Or you could just do both brown, both black. It's really up to you. You could do polka dots for the costume. Sorry. And then just go from there. So I'm gonna pick, I think I'll just pick this pink for her outfit. You can color the hair yellow, brown, black. If you do it in black, you won't see the details inside the braid. You may want to just go with a light or dark brown. You could go red. You could go yellow. So you have options. Just take your time when you're coloring. Now you don't have to do 2 gnomes, you could just do 1 larger gnome. You could have more than 1 house, a mushroom house in the background. You could have large and small mushrooms in the background for their homes. So there's a lot of fun ideas that you can come up with. Just use your imaginations, which is the best thing to do. And each time I do a drawing, I always come up with new ideas. So then I elaborate a little bit more on something I've done before. Sometimes just doing the coloring will start to give you some ideas. And then I'm going to color in the cap of my mushroom. So basically I've seen gnomes now for all kinds of festive celebrations. They're not just during the winter anymore. I've seen them all year round. They've been so popular. Now you can leave the base, the bottom part of your mushroom white, and just color in the door in like a lighter dark brown. And if you're doing a mushroom right next to your gnome, you may not want to use red for any part of your gnome's costume. You may want to just use some other colors, just so that it's not too, not camouflage, but too similar. And then color, don't forget to cap your marker, and then color in maybe the doorway. You might want to do the door in a lighter brown. And then the arch, the double line around the door in a darker brown. You can kind of be playful with your colors. You could even make a little pathway leading up to the door with like little rocks that you could draw, or just like a little pathway going away from the door. And maybe just do this part in a slightly darker brown, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. And you could add some curtains, or you could just color inside the window all in yellow to show light reflection inside. And then just start coloring in your costume on your gnome. Now, traditionally when I've seen gnomes, they have wooden noses. So you could just color in the nose a very light beige color. You don't want it to be too dark, I don't believe, on the face. You could paint these. I think it's a little easier to do it in marker. Now, if you made a larger gnome and made just one big one as a focal point, then I think it would be easier to paint inside his outfit or her outfit. And as you can see, I'm just being very careful, not leaving any white spaces inside. And then make sure your marker is capped, and then you can decide on what color you'd like to do the hat. You could just make it like a pattern of 2 colors. I think on this one, I'm just gonna do purple and white. So I'm making a pattern where I'll skip a stripe and then move to the next one. And then maybe on this band, I'll just make stripes going across. Make sure they touch the top and bottom line. Okay, and then like I said, find a lighter color for the nose. Okay, and then on this, I think I'll just choose a light color, and then maybe I'll make polka dots. So I'm gonna just do this one in a light color. I think I'll leave the braids white. You can color them in however you like. Or you can decide at the last minute you want to add some color. And I think maybe I'll just color them in yellow. Okay, cap your marker. Okay, make sure it's capped tight. And then for her hat, I think I'm just gonna add a darker color on top of my light blue. I'm using the same color family, just using a darker blue and spacing out some small polka dots just to kind of mix it up with patterns on my gnome. You can have some that are kind of going right off to the side of the hat. And kind of just look around, make sure that you have enough. But it works best if you have a lighter color first as the base color, and then went in with your darker color on top of it. Make sure your cap. You could also use your pencil to do a tiny bit of shading. And I just wanted to show you one last thing on the mushroom. If you wanted to show the other side of the cap, just this part, because this gnome is overlapping, and then you would show the texture ribbing on the under part of your mushroom. Okay, so like I said, you can use your pencil and do a tiny bit of shadow, excuse me, around the under part of the beard, just using your pencil, and at the bottom part right here on the hat, where it would fit on top of the head. And if you wanted to add just a tiny bit on the tips of your beard, if you made that kind of beard. And then really all I'm going to do is just use the tip of my clean finger and kind of blend in the pencil just to show a slight shadow. And as you can see, it's pretty effective. And I'm going to do the same thing on my mushroom. And you can also go on the under part, just shading that in. And then, so this gives it a little bit more definition and dimension to it. And it's very subtle. And then you could just add a little bit of a shadow on the other gnome, rub it in, and you can add a tiny bit on the bottom of the nose. And then basically you're done, and you have a wonderful, fun gnome project. Thanks so much. See you later.